Hello.
So, my dear friends, I was there was my idea to start this conversation because finally we connected on WhatsApp with my friend Moshe Hadary from UK, and the short story. 11 years ago, Moshe was one of the speakers who visit our life insurance company in Russia. There were the big conference for the best financial advisors, and Moshe was invited guest from $1 Million Roundtable Association, and he has a great lecture about practices for financial advisors. Moreover, till now, and he generously shared his pieces of advices, and till now I use his pieces of advices in my practice. And we met through this 10 years period several times on the annual meeting of MDRT, and our meeting was in Miami on June last year. And Moshe is a very experienced guy. By the way, how long are you in the industry, Moshe?
How long? Hold on a second. I have to work it out. I'm 28 years at top of the table.
Oh, yeah.
Over 30 years MDRT. More than 35 years, I think, at MDRT. So I came into the business in 1983.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And I continue to introduce you each other. Andrei Paskin, he is also financial advisor, and he is also right now he's in the real estate business for Cyprus.
We have a lot in common. I'll tell you in a little
yes, bit. That's why I invited him. And
I can tell you more even. I'm FPC3 qualified.
Wow.
Yes,
why did you bother with FPC?
Oh, so many years ago. Like I was working as a trainee for St. James Place when they actually renamed from JRA.
Okay.
And I used to live in the UK for quite a while. So
right, that explains it.
Yeah. and my third guest or second guest, Maya Zinovieva, she's CPA. And she's my colleague during several years, and she's my client also. She has a saving plan with life insurance company.
Perfect.
So
are you still with Ingolstadt?
No, Allianz. Right
Allianz.
Now,
okay.
Allianz, and more. Of course, I do several activities. I work with some US companies, both life and health insurance.
Very good.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about life, about what happens in life according to coronavirus or self-isolation, about connected with business. So my first question to you, Moshe, you are a very experienced guy. Did you have some new practices in something new in your practice for the previous month and a half?
We stopped taking face-to-face meetings, and which is pretty much normal. Other than that, there has not been much change in the way we do business or operate. I still come into the office pretty much every day. But Wendy, my partner and the administrator, is in one room and I'm in another room usually. But other than that, it hasn't really changed much. We found that certain things are more of greater interest to people, and other things are not as high interest. I should explain, I run a business, a life insurance and finance practice now. finance. I mean, we get finance and mortgages and loans for people because if investments are not, excuse me, if investments are not doing well, people don't want to buy investments, which is exactly the wrong time and the wrong thing. But we don't sell investments anymore. I sold my investment practice about 10 years ago. But I kept the life insurance and finance because people always want money. Always. Doesn't matter. The economy doing good, they want more money. The economy is doing bad, they still want money. So my first suggestion to you, if you don't already do that, is form, if you are not yourself a licensed mortgage and credit broker, find the licensed credit and mortgage broker and form an alliance and work together.
Mm-hmm.
I have a presentation. I don't remember whether I gave the presentation when I met you first in Moscow, but I have a presentation that I put, I call it the magic circle. The way I explain it, let me just get a pen, one second.
Okay.
What I do is I put I start with that, and I say to the customer, this is me, and this is you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you, if I find you a fantastic real estate deal, if I find you, let's say, a piece of real estate where it makes a lot of sense to buy it, it gives you a very good income, and you can buy it at 15, 20, now maybe even 25% discount in the market, would you pay me a fee? And he says, yes, absolutely. So then I go, because I'm not a real estate agent, not a licensed real estate agent, then I say, I'll go to a real estate agent and I say to him, if I can find you a customer to buy your property from you in 5 minutes, you will get commission from the seller. Will you pay me a fee? And he said, yes, of course. Then I go to the bank and I say to the bank, I'll bring you a customer, because I'm a licensed credit broker. I say, if I bring you a customer to borrow money to buy that piece of real estate, will you pay me a fee? And the banks in the UK at least pay a fee to mortgage brokers to bring them customers. And he says, yes. And I said, and then I go to the real estate manager. And no, sorry. The bank says yes. And then what does the bank require as soon as they lend somebody a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
They require insurance, life insurance.
Yes.
They don't want to be in the property ownership business. So I go to the insurance company, and as we all know, they will pay us commission to set up a life policy.
Mm-hmm.
I then go to the real estate management company. I happen to own a real estate management company. I'll tell you more of that in a little while. But if I don't manage real estate, I'll go to a real estate management company, and I'll say, if I bring you a customer with a building, with a property, and you manage it, you will get fees. Will you pay me a little bit of your fees? And what happens is, this is a magic circle, and this is me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm smiling. Do you know why I'm smiling? Because every one of those will pay me a fee. And do you know what? The only thing that you need to set up this business, every one of you can have this business in 5 minutes. All you need is one of these, a telephone.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You don't have to have connections. You don't have to have licenses. I've had people say, I'm not licensed to sell real estate. I'm not licensed to get mortgages. Or I'm not licensed to, you're licensed to talk to people.
Yeah.
Licensed to talk to people. But you can create this setup in 5 minutes with connections. We've done business like that, selling real estate, selling the finance, selling the insurance I've sold properties in literally minutes. I send out a WhatsApp to all my clients. Here's a deal. These are the relevant numbers. Oh, by the way, if you don't already do that, I suggest that you spend time. It takes hours and hours and hours, but you only do it once. You must create WhatsApp broadcast lists, not groups, broadcast lists. You know the difference?
It's usually we have not WhatsApp but Telegram broadcast list.
Same thing, but WhatsApp was first. I just got used to it. I've got Telegram as well, but I don't tend to use it as much. A broadcast list means that everybody on the broadcast list gets it, but nobody knows that you've sent it to 100 other people. But when they reply, you're discussing it directly with them. At the moment, I've got, let me just have a look. I'll tell you precisely. At the moment, I have I've got 3,150 people on my broadcast list, 3,150 contacts on my phone. Of those, some of them are obviously personal or private or non-business, but I probably have out of that about 2,500 organized in broadcast lists. And there will be clients, there will be clients who invest in real estate, there will be clients who invest in specific types of real estate. I will have, for example, I'll have all my MDRT friends in one group. IFAs and financial advisors from the UK are in one group. IFAs and financial advisors from other countries are in another group. You can tell from my accent, I'm originally from Israel. I've got another group for Israeli insurance agents. So if I have a product that's good for anybody, I can send out the message. So coming back to the magic circle, if I have a good real estate deal, I type it out, I send it out, and in 5 minutes, somebody will come back and say, yes, I'm interested in that. And you go to the customer and the whole idea is to be able to, number one, create value, add value to somebody.
Of course.
And it doesn't matter what you do. And people sometimes say to me, or they used to say to me on that, and I don't care, but people used to say, well, you're not really in the insurance business. I said, no, I'm in the wealth creation business, wealth creation and retention business. So I'm in the business of helping customers achieve their objectives of creating and protecting wealth. If I can come and add value to somebody by finding them a piece of real estate at below market value, and then I get very well paid by each one of these people around, it's a good way to behave, and each deal like that becomes better and better and better. I'm not sure if I sent you an email recently, but at the bottom of my email at the moment, I get testimonials from customers. And I have put on the one customer said that to me recently. They said, because of you, we have retired young and rich, and we're living a magic life. Thank you so much. I'm your #1 fan. If you look at my email, if you haven't got it, I'll send it to you. It's not a problem. And I put it on the signature. And people sometimes come back and say, why have you got that on your signature? I said, this is the real stories from my customers. If the customers are telling you nice things, I tell customers the story. We're all about telling stories. So all I've done when I'm talking about real estate, I used to work with pensions and with funds. And in 2008, in the financial crisis, I had one customer who had £1 million in his pension portfolio. And that £1 million in 2008 became either 580 or 600,000 pounds. Just.
Yeah.
And I called the fund manager, the insurance company, and I said, look, this guy's going to retire in 2 months' time. What have you done? And they came back to me with the usual, forgive my language, the usual bullshit of in the long term, the markets go up, and if you stick with it, everything will be fine and whatever. And I said, this guy is 67. He's going to retire in 2 months' time. He doesn't have long term. He cannot wait another 15 years. And then I realized, because I'm a very slow thinker, I realized that it's called financial services industry. It's not called financial services profession. Mm-hmm. And the industry is the wholesale, the manufacturer. And it's called industry because they're there to make a profit.
Yes.
If the customer makes money, it's a happy coincidence, but it's not their objective. Every fund manager that you speak to will talk to you about what they want is assets under management. Mm-hmm. They want to build up their portfolio. They want to build up their the amount of money that they're managing, because they get the 1 or 2% or whatever it is, whether it goes up or whether it goes down or whether it goes sideways. They still collect their fees. And it took me a while to realize that. By that time, I was, I don't know, nearly 30 years in the insurance and fund management business. And I realized the companies don't care. They don't care if the customer is all of a sudden, because this guy that I told you about, he's going to have to take, or he had to take his benefits. And what took me 25 years to build up has gone down by 35% in 3 months. So at that time, I was already myself an experienced and reasonable size, now it's much larger, but reasonable size investor in real estate. And I looked at what happened to my own portfolio in the financial crisis. And I will ask you a question. What do you think happened? Please tell me.
I have no idea till now. During all your speech, I tried to find the answer, but I am still in the process. Maya, will you help us?
Did it stay the same value?
Exactly right. It didn't change because my income continued, my rentals continued. Now, real estate doesn't mean that it doesn't go up or down. But first of all, real estate goes up or down slowly, much, much slowly. You cannot have a place that will devalue by 50% in 2 months, okay? Unless it burned down, and you've got insurance for that. But nothing happened. My income continued. And people say, yes, but it went down. I said, yes, but I'm not selling. I'm interested in income from the real estate. And it changed my entire concept about why you should invest in income-producing assets. And so all I've done is I've swapped in my own practice the idea of selling a pension fund, or the idea of selling a mutual fund, or I don't know what you call it, the unit trust or mutual fund, to selling real estate. And what we now have is a complete A to Z service where within the group we have, we find the property, we negotiate on it, we then find a buyer, then we give it to the buyer's lawyer to get it into the buyer's name. Then we've got the building team who will go in and refurbish it or fix it up. And then we put the tenants in, then we collect the rent and we put the money into the customer's bank account. The customer, the investor owns the property and sees his money going to the bank, period. He doesn't do anything else. It's genuine, complete A to Z passive income. And I sell insurance at the same time. So when I met you in Moscow, my business was probably 65% insurance and financial services based. And now my business is about 70%, or maybe slightly more, but say 70% property based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that the insurance got smaller, it's that the property got bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So I still do top of the table every year, but it's now almost a sideline. It's probably between 12 and 15% of what I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Moshe, can I ask some questions?
Absolutely.
Are we talking about property that purely residential? Is it buy to let? And if so, then what's the location and what's like the average, price tag for those properties for your investor?
Very good question. We started dealing in property. I started this business completely by accident. I started about 20 years ago to buy and for myself. And I was in, I'm trying to think where it was. I think it was at an MDRT meeting. I can't remember where. I went for a walk after the meeting and I went into the local mall. And if you've been to America and you've been to any shopping malls, they've got pop-up shops in the corridors. And there was a pop-up shop there which was selling books. And I bought a book that changed my life. Or I should say, it changed my brain.
You was ready.
It changed my brain. And once you change your brain, everything else changes.
Yeah,
and the book was called Retire Young, Retire Rich. And it was written by Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I didn't buy Rich Dad Poor Dad at that time. I read it since then. And he was talking about the magic of income producing real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, took me a few years to get my stuff organized, but about 20 years ago, 19 years ago, I started to buy for myself and buy one and another one and another one and another one. And the answer to your question is I used to buy only in my area, which is North London, North and East London. Everything that I bought was within 15 minutes, 15 kilometers maximum from where I was, because I realized very early on that you can, if you, for example, Andre, if you were a customer of mine, and now I've got customers all over the world, investors literally all over the world, I've got investors in Russia as well. And if you said to me, you want to invest in a property and you bought a property from me, or property that I found for you, you're not the customer. You're just the owner of the property and you receive the money. My customer is the tenant. He's the one who pays the money. I'm making a joke. You are the customer, of course, but no. I'm far more, I know you will get very good service, but far more important is that the tenant gets a good service. Because England in the winter is cold, not as cold as Moscow. But if a customer calls you up and, the tenant, the customer, calls you up and say, my heating is not working, you have to get a plumber there within 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe maximum 2 hours. You can't say to him, I'll send one Thursday next week. You cannot do that. Because if a tenant is not happy, he doesn't pay. And if he doesn't pay the rent, Andre is not going to be happy.
Yes.
So my objective was to do everything within a small distance, because then I've got my maintenance team around. I can get a plumber, a heating engineer to a location within a couple of hours. You know, heating system stop working, we get somebody there to fix it. The tenants like that. So the answer to your question is I invested mostly in around my area.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened is we talk. People in the insurance business talk to other people all the time. And I had people who came to me and said, "You seem to know what you're doing. Can you do that for me?" And I said, "No, leave me alone." And they kept coming back and asking and asking. So then I set up the business for the property management. I formalized it. And at that time, you could buy units in London in my area for anything between 100 and 150,000 pounds. If I speak in pounds, is okay for you, or do you want to translate it to dollars?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
100,000 pounds is probably about $130,000 in London, in Greater London, not Central London, but in the suburbs. London is a city of 12 million people now. So it's within the Greater London. The starting point was about $130,000, $140,000 when I started. Now it's probably in excess of $250,000 in London. At that time, it was possible to get financing from the banks for anyone, including non-residents. Now it's incredibly difficult to get any finance for someone who's not based in the UK. There is a way around that by setting up a UK company, and the UK company borrows and then invests in property. What we've also done is started to look for lower cost units outside of London, and we have got two areas that we invest in Scotland. It took me about two and a half years to build up the connections and the maintenance team, and now we have it in place, and for those units we've got from as little as $45,000. But it's a different market. In London, the income stream is probably going to be between 5 and 7% gross, brutto. This is the amount of income that you get per amount that you invest. Whereas the deals that we do in Scotland are much higher. We're talking about between 11 and 13%, typically 12.5% that we can get for customers. So they're fantastic for building income quickly.
Absolutely, yeah.
So those are the two areas. I'm being offered constantly deals in other areas. If I don't have the maintenance team in an area, I just don't buy anything there, because you're just asking for problems. And they have to be people that I know and people that I trust will give good service, because if they don't give good service to the tenants don't pay. If the tenants don't pay, the investor gets very angry.